to continue on doing this painting, and I'll bring up the reference image I'm going to use and put it on the side over here. It's I'm trying to use a sort of method where I sort of do a monochrome version of the painting first to try to capture all the values as they are pretty close to what I want them to be, and then I will match colour to tone on this painting. I've got a sort of palette laid out already. I've got titanium white, yellow ochre, and this is a very orangey yellow, cadmium yellow. This is light red, that's cadmium red, a sort of cobalt blue. This is a it's called Australian leaf green, I think. It's just a good intermediate green and black. It's a fairly limited palette, I think, reasonably limited. I was thinking of more limited, but it's nice to have a little bit of extra. Now I've got some oil in a little cup. The aim of the oil is just to clean my brushes. I don't need to use terps at this point. I'll use generally flats, if you can see it, flat. This is a sort of chisel brush. They're very nice to paint with. Now the aim of putting the using the palette correctly is to arrange all the colours that you're going to use along the top, and to use this whole area for mixing. You could use a flat palette, a glass palette or something. I'll try to give an illustration of how to use the colour, how to apply the colour. So I've got an image here that I'm using as my reference, and I'll just pick an area, as I say in here, just the hat. I'll take some light red and some ochre. I'm not going to be so perfect about getting it all exactly right. A bit more ochre, a bit of yellow, a sort of fairly brownish colour, a bit more light red, a bit of ochre. Now I'll take some titanium white, and what I do with this method is I just mix up a range of tones. Hopefully that's visible. It's a little bit cold, that colour, so I might just keep adding a bit more ochre to it. A bit more white. I could even add a little bit of black, just to sort of deepen the darks. So here, hopefully this is a simple enough version of the colour. It's not exactly the same colour as in the hat, but that doesn't bother me much really. You can sort of almost paint any colours, as long as you stick to the tonality you'll get the right image. But I've got a range going from fairly light brownish colour round through warmer mid-tones, darker redder colours, and to quite a dark colour. And what I'll do is apply the colour. I check this to see how well accurately I've done the image as well, so I don't have to follow it perfectly. I might actually mix a little bit more yellow ochre. The yellow ochre seems to be a little bit too weak really for some reason. And I'll look for a tone here, and I just sort of put a dab on, and you can probably see if I zoom the camera in a bit more, you can probably see that the tone sort of disappears, the colour disappears against the background tone pretty much. And that's the basis of applying the colour. We can apply it in another area. For instance, we can go in here, we can take a fairly dark colour and we just apply it. It's close, but it's not. Could be darker even. I'll try a little bit more black into that. And you can sort of see it sort of disappears into the underlying tone. That's just how we do it. You can just pick, all you do is you pick up a colour that you decide in an area. Maybe it's a sort of yellowish colour through here. Make up a sort of a tonal range of yellows and just start applying it to match the tones in the wherever you see them underneath. It ends up that you can more or less obliterate the underlying image. It disappears under the colour image, but that doesn't matter. That's what this method's all about. You can leave some of the image come through if you want, and it won't make any difference. It'll just add a sort of bit of unity, an underlying sort of effect of the burnt umber coming through will unify it a little bit. We could try another area. Say we look at the background, it tends to be blue in this, but we could pick a sort of blue. I'll make up a sort of grey blue. I'll take some of this cobalty blue, or it could be cerulean blue, and I'll mix a bit of black with that. When you use black, just think of it as another colour. It tends to be a bluish colour in any case, and it mixes in different ways with different colours. So some colours it mixes with, say yellow, it produces a nice olive green. In this case it's probably not going to change things much with the blue. Let's just produce this charcoaly grey blue. And you can see I've got a range of blues, a sort of fairly muted blues. I'll clean my brush, dip it into the oil and just sort of wipe it clean on the rag. I like just using the same brush generally, so I'll just pick up some colour. If I pick it up anywhere I can just match it. I'll just try it, see if I put it on there, it's quite dark. I could even start putting a little bit more light into this blue, so see there's my tonal range of blues. This grey blue. I'll try again, I'll pick up from here, put it in there. It's quite close, that's pretty close to the tone. It could even be a little bit darker now. And that's definitely too dark. Oh, it's probably about right. So all I can do is I just put in this, wherever I see this tone, I can put in that blue or another colour that's maybe more appropriate. You don't have to be overly precise. As I approach the darker edge here, I can put in a darker blue. I don't try to blend them together. It's very important not to blend them together, just to do that later on if you want to. Okay, you can sort of see how it works. It's fairly simple. This one's slightly darker over this side. There's a certain amount of leeway. You don't have to be trying to stick precisely to whatever the underdrawing is. And in fact, you can see that there might be errors. You might want to change things. You might want to alter the shape of the image underneath. Like for instance this bit of the hat here. I might want to alter that a little bit to change the tonality. But I can do that as I go along. What I'll do is I'll zoom in now and I'll do it slowly for a while and then I'll speed it up. I'm changing the colours a bit as I go along as well. I'm not just sticking to what I did before. I'm sort of remixing other colours, slight violet-y colour. You can always pick along the tone line to find an area that's just right for whatever you're painting on top. This is a relatively quick way of painting and it's good for quick poses and stuff in light drawing. Well, by quick I mean relatively an hour or 2 hour long pose. The process of separating colour and tone like this allows a greater freedom actually doing both the colour and the tone painting. I'm making modifications up here. Always keep wiping the brush. I'm not going to go quite as white as or as light as the drawing. Just as a small aside here, I've had to change the colours I put down a bit because particularly the yellow ochre wasn't strong, wasn't working very well. So I've added a Naples yellow and a cadmium yellow. That's about all the colour changes I've done. That ochre is not very nice, not very good for some reason. I've done quite a few modifications in this area. Yeah, I've sort of redrawn it quite a lot because it was just not really living up to a description of a dog. It's not too bad, but it's still got a way to go. It's fairly colourful at least. Now I'm not going to do much more really. It's okay, but you know, there's all sorts of things that could be done with it. A bit of scraping can help in places, you know, it sort of softens effects and edges, and that can be very attractive. And at any time when something's going wrong, you can sort of scrape it and sort of reduce the sort of impact of the effects, and so it gives you more room to paint over on top with other paint. See these edges here, they can be sort of scraped across. As long as you keep the palette knife reasonably clean. And what you get is a blending of the edges that's not really smooth, but it's smooth enough to create this sort of receding effect. So if I'll just do this here, it keeps the edges soft and it makes them appear to sort of go round. Should work over here as well. Just makes them blend into the background. It's called lost edges. You don't have to do it everywhere. Some edges are good to keep very hard, you know, that might be good as a hard edge, but down here it might be good to just rub it across and just to soften that edge. Here, likewise, you can soften that edge, it's a little bit too hard. Maybe that'll do. Might just break up those lines in there a bit. Create a bit of texture. And I'm going to stop there. Hopefully I'll move on to a more interesting one. I don't find this that interesting. Oh well.